A judge decided to overturn a sexual assault conviction. Just let the person go. But that judge has been removed. Let's put it up full mass. It's unbelievable, but it happened. Illinois, Adams County Judge Robert Adrian was removed from the bench after a state oversight panel determined that he, in fact, engaged in misconduct, attempted to circumvent the law, when he decided to reverse the then 18-year-old sexual assault conviction. Speaking to the Chicago Tribune on Friday, Adrian said that his removal is totally a miscarriage of justice. No, you overturning the will of the jury, sir. That's the miscarriage here. The decision from the court commission comes after the Judicial Inquiry Board filed a complaint against Judge Adrian. This was January 2023. Now, this is a rare thing to happen, okay? They accused the judge of willful misconduct. Now, remember, judges have significant leverage in how to do a case, okay? They do. But they decided this was willful misconduct, conduct that was prejudicial to the administration of justice, and that brought the judicial office into disrepute. The commission held a 3-day hearing for the complaint against Judge Adrian in November and rendered its judgment last week, determining that the judge, quote, has engaged in multiple instances of misconduct. He abused his position of power to indulge his own sense of justice while circumventing the law. He lied on the oath on multiple occasions, and he has failed to acknowledge his misconduct. June 2021, give an example, 16-year-old girl who's since turned 18 and come forward as Cameron Vaughn, accused Drew Clinton, pictured there, of sexually assaulting her at a graduation party while she could not consent. In October 2021, Judge Adrian found Clinton guilty of 1 of 3 counts of felony sexual assault, and Clinton served 148 days in county jail. Then, at a sentencing hearing in January 2022, Judge Adrian reversed the guilty ruling and called Clinton's 148 days, quote, plenty of punishment, end quote. This happened when this teenager, because he was and is a teenager, was 2 weeks past 18 years old. He has no prior record, none whatsoever. This court will not do that. That is not just, Judge Adrian said. On top of Adrian's decision to reverse the guilty ruling, he also seemed to infantilize a white male alleged assailant, where boys and young men are of color who face criminal charges are adultified, all right? So at the same sentence hearing, the judge blamed the parents, all right? So he famously blamed the parents' teams who hosted and attended the graduation party rather than Clinton. They allow 16-year-olds to bring liquor to a party. They provide liquor to underage people, and you wonder how these things happen. Well, that's how these things happen. The court is totally disgusted with that whole thing. He said, this is what happens when parents do not exercise their parental responsibilities, when we have adults having parties for teenagers, and they allow co-eds and female people to swim. He said female people to swim in their underwear, in their swimming pools, end quote. Of course, alcohol doesn't cause. This is a victim-blaming line of thinking that absolves abusers of the decision to harm someone in a vulnerable state. Sounds like a Kavanaugh supporter to me. March 2022, when the Judicial Inquiry Board first began looking into allegations of misconduct against Judge Adrian for reversing the guilty ruling against Clinton. Now remember, Clinton is grown. He's an adult in the judicial system, okay? When they started looking at this against Clinton, Judge Adrian questioned Vaughn's victimhood. Now this is the victim, all right? So he questions the victimhood. The reality is, quote, the reality is that I had second thoughts on the finding of guilty shortly after the several-day trial. I found haunting Clinton being in jail, pending the hearing on the post-trial motions, he said in written statements to the board. My focus on reconsideration was the issue of consent. The people must have proven beyond a reasonable doubt Vaughn was unable to consent. I finally concluded I had not. It had not. Later that year, Judge Adrian spoke to news outlets about how the left was trying to cancel him. So Cameron Vaughn told Law and Crime, quote, as a survivor of sexual assault, I find Judge Adrian's comments and assertions to be just as disingenuous as the Illinois Courts Commission found them. I think it's disgusting that he would go on record and outright call me a liar. His actions are shameful, and he has never shown any remorse, Vaughn said. To the now former judge, Robert Adrian, you cannot hurt me anymore. I am forever thankful to the Illinois Courts Commission as they made it possible that he can't shame and blame any other victims like he did to me. To all the other survivors out there, you matter, end quote. When they investigated this cat, they realized, he didn't just make this miscarriage. He didn't involve himself in just one dynamic of misconduct, but many. And that is the primary reason they removed this individual summarily from the bench. If it would have been one occasion, they probably would have given him a suspension. But because they found it to be pervasive, they removed him altogether. Rayyvana, thoughts here?
Yeah, as a lifelong Illinois resident, I am grateful that he has been removed from his position of power. But I will say that to all of the people, specifically men who ask this question, well, why don't women go to the police when they are supposedly the victims of sexual violence? This is one of the reasons why. He gave so many women in the state a reason to not even bother reporting when they are the victims of sexual assault or to the police, because even if they are the, quote unquote, perfect victim and they follow all the steps, you might still have to sit in front of a judge who sympathizes with you, the victim of the violent crime that he sees himself not in a victim. He doesn't feel sympathy for you as a victim. He sees himself reflected back at him at a white man who that's the person he sympathizes with. That's the person he thinks that this whole experience has been too tough on. And although he's been removed from the bench, and I commend her bravery for naming herself and making these public statements, but she hasn't received justice. She didn't receive justice. Removing him from the bench was not enough. Her got to walk free after it was determined by a court of law, by a jury, that he did sexually assault her. She got no justice in this case. So for her to then use this horrible situation that happened to her, how she was victimized in this way, as a platform to speak out, for other survivors and to fight for justice for other survivors is so brave and so commendable. And as a survivor of sexual violence myself, these stories of like the judge are just devastating, and we can see, all these parallels to our own situations. But just to see this young girl come forward and to be so brave and to speak on behalf of other victims, it does fill my heart with optimism and hope.
Yeah. Find the power. Don't allow anyone to take it away. Amen to that.